Good morning, everyone. It is Hump Day, woo woo, Wednesday, June 9th. Here we go, taking a look at our futures, and we've been pretty flatlined, up a little, down a little, but nothing too exciting. Very mixed. The Dow's up, the S&P's down a few minutes ago. The Dow was, the Dow was down, S&P is up. It was just flipped the other way not too long ago. The Russell 2000 up again today, and that is something. So here's the S&P futures. See what I mean? We're really flat. We hit some highs in the SPY yesterday, and then quickly sold them off. I put on some fib lines marking that high, and then the most recent low, which takes us back here where we actually used that 50 and bounced back up. Just kind of keeping track of those fib lines, and so that pushes us up. The next stop somewhere around 427 might be our next target on the SPY. But again, we've got a lot going on. The infrastructure plan quickly got halted yesterday. Be very cautious with Bitcoin. There's a lot of regulatory talk around it. Now we're pushing back up, but regulatory talk, people are not happy that it was able to be tracked, and that money from the Colonial Pipeline or a lot of it had been confiscated. So I think there's just a lot of uncertainty around Bitcoin. I don't think it's going anywhere. Don't get me wrong. This might be a beautiful buy period, but it used, here's the futures, and it used that 200 pretty darn nicely. I would just be very cautious as some of those regulatory headlines start trickling out a bit more. But the IWM yesterday, just a beautiful move the last couple of days. If you're in the chat room with us, we talk about this. If we think of the IWM is kind of the canary in the coal mine. They're letting us know we're going to go. And what I noticed by the end of the day yesterday is look at this volume, right? So we're increasing volume as the IWM creeps up and gets ever closer to that all-time high. And again, yesterday on the SPY, as soon as we hit that all-time high, what did we do? We backed off and said, wow, I'm not sure I like it up here. The air is a little thin. Now, does that mean that we're going to have a trend change? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that all-time highs, especially when they're coming across the indexes like this, they're hard. People, they hit that high. Algorithms are set. We're trading against computers a lot of times. Those algorithms are set to say, hey, this is where we're going to take our profit. Bam. And then they take it out. But we're doing the same thing. We just aren't we aren't computers. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, lots of good opportunities out there. I want to talk real quick about the meme stocks in general. And Clove, this one yesterday, Wish. If you follow these names in Reddit, they're Wall Street Bets is kind of the granddaddy of them, I guess. But there's several others that have branched out from that. But they really do move these names. Not necessarily the whole market, but they move the names. And what do I think about it? Well, I think if you're paying attention, you can sit here and watch, and you have a strict plan. Like, okay, I'm going to get in, but I'm only going to risk 15% of my options or X number of dollars, whatever it is, and then stick to it. Here's the reason. Having those little losses like that come in, like you grab those, they're painful and we don't like to do it. But if you do that, as soon as it comes right back up through your buy point, you just hop back on and take it the other way. Don't try to make this super complicated. Be much more like a computer. We're not computers, I know that. But be much more decisive. Follow that plan. You wouldn't want your heart surgeon to go in and say, okay, we're going to do a quad bypass and this is how we're going to do it, and then get in there and go, this really isn't looking so good, so I'm going to try this instead. That's not what you want. You want him to be like, no, this is, if this happens, we're doing this. So the if, and then. If, then. And then we know, you just know. And it also takes away a lot of that anxiety that people have about trading. That's just trading in general. It takes away a lot of that anxiety. So these names, great opportunity for money. Now, when you read the Reddit boards, it is so filled with more ego than I can even fathom. And here's what I'm going to tell you about it. Take the excitement words out of it, and the expletives, because there's a lot of those too, but take that out of it and look at the name and what they're doing. Be very diligent about looking at that name and then saying, okay, this is what I'm willing to risk. But give yourself a little bit more time. If these folks are buying options and they're buying it for this week or maybe just next Friday, why not go out the extra month? Buy a little bit less in quantity, but buy that little bit extra quality. Sure, are you going to make the 1,000%? Maybe not. And I say 1,000 being kind of facetious, but you're still going to make really good money and know where you want to get out on that and then set up the next trade. Don't sit there and look at it and say, oh my God, that thing just kept going. Right? We say that a lot in any of our plays, like, oh my gosh, I missed all this money. I left all this money on the table, which just means if you've left money on the table, that means you took some with you, and that is what makes you a good trader. That is what makes you successful, not holding on and not having a good plan, because you can get rewarded for bad behavior, and eventually that's going to come back and bite you in the keister. All right, let's run into some names. I know this video is a little bit longer, so I'm going to be really quick going through some of these names. AAP, we saw yesterday, really like this move. Cluster of moving averages, higher volume, pushing on up. Did not see any options that I like, but I really do like AAP. Amazon, anything above the 50, we are going to run into from the 50 up here to this 32.96 fib line. And that's a pretty good move. It doesn't look like it on the chart, but that's a lot of dollars in there. And I like Amazon over the 50, and then as long as it closed over the 50. I know Sherman in the background a little bit there. Chewy, like this from yesterday. We are now on top of the 200. Have some volume resistance ahead. I like this as a trade into those earnings, though. Take a look over that 200. If I would look at the 716.80s. Some energy, still making nice moves. We built some volume back up into COP, ConocoPhillips, yesterday. The high at 61.14, looking for a breakout in COP. I like the 716.60s. DKNG, we saw, caught some attention yesterday. Used the 50 point of control into a low resistance area. Really like DKNG here. The 55s or the 60s, depending on the opening. Some of these have already started moving on here this morning. Look for a pullback in them. Laser, right? So I don't really love the wicks on the tops of these candles, but it's still putting in a higher open and close. So that's what I'm kind of focusing on, and I like this over 25.80 in laser. Looking at the 27.50s there in July. Fastly, some of you played this one yesterday. It is really beautiful. It was in our watch list yesterday morning too. But these have caught now a lot more attention. Look at that volume, and we want this over the 50. Plenty of room here to about the 65.80 area, 65.85 area in Fastly. I like the 60s in those. They've definitely built up some volume yesterday. Fang, Diamondback Energy, looking for a breakout. We had this nice bullish gap. We took a little rest here, built in volume. Look at that. We pulled up some volume, pushed up to new highs, looking for the continued breakout in FANG, the 716.90s. Skills, really nice, staying over the 200 and very little resistance here until we get up to 26.10. Again, don't love the longer wick on this candle, but put in a higher open, a higher close, looking for continuation on that over yesterday's close, so over 23.09 or 23.10. I like the Skills 25 strike. And I like CPE, another petroleum play. This one, not a bullish gap or anything, but really nice flagpole. Putting in a nice little flag here, looking for the breakout above yesterday's high. I like CPE 50s. And then another one that caught a bunch of attention. EH, nice, really nice move here. It does look like it has earnings coming up, so possibly a catalyst there. I think this one has some nice room here up to about 46.10 before it runs into some resistance. But nice close there on the highs and starting to build volume back up. Okay, that is it for me this morning. Sorry to run through those plays so quickly. If you're playing the meme stocks or following those Reddit boards, it's always good to know if something you're getting in is being talked about in there. Remember, just have a really good plan, have a really good stop, and have a really good target for your profit. And never, ever look back and say, I wish I had taken more, because you can always take a new trade in it. All right, that is it for me today. I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday, and I will see you on the flip side.